Hi, and welcome everyone to our very first YouTube live stream. So welcome everyone. I'm Roger Hamilton, the CEO of Genius Group. And as part of our commitment to, I think, a whole new way of communicating with all of our investors, our students, our partners, is that we are not doing quarterly meetings, we're doing monthly meetings here. We're gonna continue to be doing this going forward. And we're really looking to make daily updates because things are moving so quickly within Genius Group right now. So what I would love for everyone to be sharing, given that we make this very interactive, so I know there's a lot of chat going on right now as well, given that we are an international group, is if you could just post in hi and wherever you are in the world right now, whatever city, whatever state, whatever country, that would be fantastic. I'm going to go through all the comments afterwards as well. We also have Flora, who is on the call with us as well. She is our head of international, of our relations for all of our investors. And she is also going to be capturing as many questions as she can. Probably makes more sense to hold most of the questions to later so she isn't busy trying to capture them all the time. We do already have questions that have been also posted, which I'm going to be covering later in the call. And also, we may not get to all of them, but we will try and actually answer anything that we can't afterwards within the chat as well. So this is very much about answering all of the different questions that you may have for our company going forward. And I really hope that from what I'm about to go through in terms of an overview of Genius Group, you're going to already be having a lot of questions you have, and maybe many you don't have that are going to get answered as well. So let me jump right into it, first of all, with my screen here, where I'm going to be sharing slides as we go as well. We have got a very, very busy agenda here. We are going to be covering some elements around the business, around our plans that we've been having with our illegal trading task force, with the structural changes that we are having coming up that many of we have mentioned. We're going to give you more details on it as well. We have the standard forward-looking statements and financial measures documentation in here as well, if you'd like to go look at it later. And this is our agenda for today. We are going to be starting with a little bit on the mission and market for any shareholders who are new to our company. We're going to be going through something which we're very excited by, which is our updated curriculum, which we update every single year for this year. We're going to also be covering the latest on the AI and Metaversity development plans that we have. And then a number of things we mentioned recently, our upcoming EGM, which is actually tomorrow, our Entrepreneur Resorts Ltd spin-off plan, where we're going to give you some additional details. We're also going to go through the current progress of the Upstream dual listing, and not only go through the process of the $10 per share NFT dividend or coupon that we're going to be doing, but we're also going to be sharing how it's different from a special dividend, how you go about redeeming it, and what you can redeem it for as we go forward as well. Plus a little bit on our partnerships and right into the Q&A from there as well. So let's kick it off, first of all, with the mission and market. You know, we basically have been running for quite a number of years as a private company before we became a public company on NYSE American. And everything that we did was supported by our students and also by our partners. We never raised any venture capital funding or any institutional investing before we became a public company. But at that point, we already had over 500 investors, and they were all people that believed, like us, that the education system needed to change. So as you can see here, we believe that there has to be more and more companies that have a mission of developing an entirely new education system for the 21st century. And we personally believe it has to be entrepreneurial, in that if you're out there trying to get a job, there's a good chance by the time you go and look for that job, it's no longer going to be there because of the way that life is moving so quickly. It's much better knowing how to create a job. And if you know how to create a job, which is what entrepreneurs do, it's not just for you, it can be for everyone else around you as well. And so entrepreneurship to us isn't just about starting a business. It's about knowing that you actually have financial literacy, that you can understand what's happening as an investor as well. And frankly, a lot of what I have been doing quite openly over really just the last month has been an open education on what's happening within our financial system. And the more people we can bring that become financially literate about what's really happening within our financial system, the more we can actually have a level playing field for all of us moving forward as well. So with that in mind, if we actually were to do that just for university, just for schools, or just for adult education, we're only ever getting to a very small part of the pie. But what we see is that the whole lifelong learning market, which is a $10 trillion market by the time we get to 2030, this is all stats which is coming from Holland IQ. You can see that out of this entire market, for many of us, especially those who happen to be on this call who are retail investors, anyone on this call who's an entrepreneur, you know you didn't learn a lot of that at school. You may not even have learned that at university. So if you look at this pie here, you will see that the total lifelong learning market, which is where we're actually reading best-selling books, where we're watching people on YouTube, is only 8% of the entire market. And then you've then got the biggest piece, which is this 55%, which is the K to 12. That's all primary and high school. And you've got 25%, which is post-secondary, usually, colleges and universities. Most of this 75% or 80% is actually funded by governments. And so most of the edtech companies that you see out there, they don't have government certification. That's why a large part of our growth strategy is acquisitions. Like, for example, the university that we bought in California, that gives us certifications which we can then extend into entrepreneurship and extend into investing. And we have some exciting news today about what we're doing with our MBA programs in those two areas as well right now. So we're looking at the entire market and saying it's only a matter of time if you have like a number of companies that are pioneering new curriculum, that a number of those companies take a significant percentage of this market, right? And we have an ambition of being one of the leaders within this market as well. So this is what we've been from day one. How much can we grow with this market as we grow forward? And most importantly, how do we do this in a way that is not trying to do it separately from the rest of the system? So everything we're doing is number one for students, right? Do students, which we now have 4.3 million students, do they have the kind of education that they really want? And at the same time, for parents, especially during the pandemic, where for many of us, we had kids either at primary, high school, or university level at home, and we started seeing what they really were learning. And for many of us, we're like, wait, hang on, that's not actually what we believe they should be learning. And so how do we actually make this work also for all of us as parents? And then also for anyone who's a teacher, I know there's many teachers who are excellent at what they do. They'll look at a YouTuber making millions of dollars, and they'll say, wait, hang on, how come that person can make millions? And I've got better teaching skills and I'm still only making tens of thousands. And the reason for that is because they don't have necessarily the leverage mechanisms that the YouTubers or the Instagrammers have. We're delivering that on our platform, so that it means that not only can you learn from your favorite teachers, but you can then get accredited from what those favorite teachers are then teaching you as well. And so bringing all of those influencers who have great content, best-selling authors, top thought leaders into our programs is a big part of our goal in our partnerships. Also, any school, college, companies in the future, we see that all the certifications that people are looking for are going to be coming from those companies. It just so happens that the way that we see the entire structure of the most important, fastest growing industries, we see there's 5 different industries, each of which there are as many companies desperate for entrepreneurial, tech-minded students to be able to join those companies as there are students who actually want to get into those industries. And those industries, those 5 is EdTech, which is the one we're in right now, where we see lots of teachers wanting to actually be able to create a global classroom. MedTech is another one. So within our university, we have a business school, medical school that we're building, where basically that MedTech side is all of the biotech, all of the kind of latest that we're seeing within the medical industry. And there's a lot of startups in the area. There's also space tech, obviously, which is a really big area. We did the partnership from NASA last year. And then there's also green tech, which is not everything out of Earth, it's everything on Earth, and all of the green energy that we're seeing right now as well. And the final one is fintech, which is all of the ways that we're seeing decentralization happening, not just in those other 4 areas, which are generally very centralized, becoming decentralized, but also within the entire fintech area as well. So it's a big interest for me, and I know for many of you as we're going forward too. So just coming back to let me just share my screen again if I can find my way back. Here we go. So just coming back for a moment to basically where we see ourselves this coming year. We did publish already our guidance for this year. We are very, very aware, right, especially with what you've been seeing in the news about us and really the fight that we've been having, with market manipulation. We're very aware that the number one way to ensure that we aren't in a situation where we basically enable them to be able to get their way is that we ourselves are a healthy business. And so we are unusual in that we have been growing at 50% plus a year. We are looking at another 50% growth to 6 million students this year, getting to $48 to $52 million revenue, but doing it with positive EBITDA. And the way that we can do that is through a combination of doing acquisitions of positive EBITDA companies, together with basically having very strong student metrics, where it's costing us less than $1 per student that comes on board. And we have several thousand a day who are joining us. And at the same time, each of those students are then spending somewhere in the region of about $10 per year. And so you're getting a 10x return on that marketing. And that allows us to then have a very, very different unit economics that we're seeing in other edtech companies out there, that tend to spend an awful lot more in their marketing and tend to be actually burning through a lot more cash as well. So we are really, really conscious that we are doing things in a very effective way in the way that we're growing. And I'm going to share with you a couple of reasons why that's working so well. Final thing that I will share as we go forward is that the curriculum that we have will continue to evolve. And you will notice that generally, if you are at a high school or if you are at a university, the curriculum tends to stay the same. Even if you're reading a best-selling book, right, the best-selling author doesn't tend to come up with a new book every single year. So for us to be able to upgrade every year, which we believe you need to do, right? Most phone companies, most tech companies, they upgrade all of their products every year. So we think education is the most important thing to be upgrading as well. So what are we doing on the curriculum side this year? Well, the first thing that we're doing is we are dividing our entire curriculum into a Metaversity of 4 different campuses. We have a school campus, which takes you all the way to high school level. We have a university campus, which is for all of our degree programs. We have an entrepreneur campus for those of people who want to learn entrepreneurial skills. And we have an investor campus for those who want to learn investing skills. And obviously, we have many people that actually join multiple campuses, and we'll find a community there of mentors, of students they can work with as well. We also have a partner portal, which is giving all the tools for all of our 12,000 educators and partners to then be able to then deliver all of the teaching into these different campuses. And I'm going to show you what that looks like as we go through the session today as well. The second thing is knowing that every one of our pathways that we create is a freemium model. So we see ourselves very similar in the way that education is shifting to what happened in the gaming industry over the last 20 years. You know, if you basically remember 20 years ago, if you happened to be playing computer games, there was a very good chance that you were basically using a PlayStation or an Xbox, basically something which was your really your kind of like, you know, pay to play model, where you had to physically buy the actual, first of all, console, which cost a lot of money. Then you had to buy the actual game before you could play it. Well, education has been working that way for many, many decades, where you had to physically buy into the university or into the high school before you even knew if it was going to be a course that was right for you, which is why there is such a high amount of student debt, where it makes it so difficult for people to get out of it, because they're paying for something they don't know what the ROI on that's going to be. And on the other hand, what's actually happened in the gaming industry is you've seen the likes of Roblox, Minecraft, Fortnite, freemium models where you aren't having to pay to play. You're actually trying before you buy. And the only people that are buying are the ones that actually know they're buying something that's going to be valuable to them. So you'll find that 98% of our students don't actually pay anything. They're actually coming on and just getting free education. But those that want to then upgrade by getting the right mentor or want to accelerate themselves, they can do that within our model. And that then pays for the entire program and actually generates that $48-52 million this year. So why this is so powerful is it does mean that we can do both things. We can actually bring down the cost of education. We can still be profitable, and we can actually extend this education to many people out there that otherwise couldn't afford it. And that also makes us quite unique compared to others as well. That leads me to, and you can see I'm going through this at pace because we do have so much that we're actually covering here. That does lead me to what we are now launching today. And you will see that there is a press release which is going to be going out in tandem with this session that we're doing here. And it is about this here, which is our prospectus for 2023. So there's actually a link in these slides, and we're going to give you this slide link as well, so you can come back and have a look at this. But basically, we have got a prospectus which now takes us through every step of our curriculum for the year. And if you happen to be in a company where you have different people at different levels, or you happen to be in a family where you know there's others you want to share this with as well, then please do, right? Because at the end of the day, we see this being a lifelong learning journey for everybody. To help me navigate this, many of you already will know that on our Genius Group site, which is our holding company site, we have our investors session, our media section. However, for our actual EdTech platform, we have a different site, which is this one here called Genius U. So this is Genius U. This is where when you start learning for free, you're actually taking through a number of assessments to get started. You'll see that here we have actually updated this today. So in the Genius U section here, there is a link here. When you click on it, it takes you straight through to the actual prospectus, and it lets you download it, right? So you can actually have it there. You also see that it actually is in Flipboard. Someone in the team, like Suraj, I think, can actually drop this into the chat as well. You can see here the actual flipbook version of it, where if I just flick through the key areas, right, not spend too much time in each part, but just give you a sense of it, what we see we do very differently from anyone else out there that's building curriculum is we start very much with our mission, purpose-driven, of why we're doing what we're doing, and then very specifically what makes us different in terms of our entire structure. So we have a Genius learning methodology, which has got 10 Genius principles within it. These include things like personalized learning, where you actually have your own AI genie. It includes challenge-based courses where you're not having to do it on your own, but you're actually showing up with a group, and then there's prizes and there's competitions. So we're gamifying it. It includes impact-focused learning. So there's always a purpose as to why you're actually you're in a program. Positive credit systems, which many of you have been hearing about with our gems, which are part of our NFT coupon. And then at the same time, having a global classroom, leading learners that are all learning at the latest things that they can then pass on all around the world, and having it very decentralized. So we have 200 countries with over 12,000 of our partners in cities all around the world who are actually taking all these tools and making it high touch as well as high tech, where they're physically showing up in locations and actually sharing this and keeping a percentage of all the revenues they're generating as well. So we have got a philosophy behind what we do: connect, learn, earn, act, and review, which is learning through doing, not learning through reading. And this is a really important part where the connection is one of the first things that happens. That's our clear philosophy. And then you see as we go through here that we actually take you through everything from early years learning. And I remember when I was on Fox Business and they said, well, for a child from 0 to 6 years old, how do you teach them to be entrepreneurs? And the answer is you don't teach them, you teach the parents, right? Because if the parents actually become better at nurturing the genius in every child, well, then they're going to just naturally ignite their genius. We talk about that, parents being the first partners. So the programs we have there are very much focusing at the parents. And then that then leads into the school students with the programs we're running here. We announced recently what we're doing with GPT-3. We have already partnerships with Microsoft on their Imagine Academy. And we also have some additional programs that we're going to be launching later this year. So we're giving you a heads up on what's coming there as well. How you can be a certified educator. So many parents and teachers also go through that process. And then what that looks like when you get the high school years, where we don't yet have a full high school curriculum. It's more around the camps. We have a program I'll share with you later called the Young Entrepreneur Academy that some of you might choose to come on board with your family as well. We then have the entire UAV, which is our Antelope Valley University set of programs, which actually takes us all the way through into associate and bachelor's degrees and through to MBA programs as well. This also then extends into our Entrepreneur Campus with all the programs, pretty much from startups all the way through to advanced entrepreneurs that are serial entrepreneurs running large businesses in the hundreds of millions or even $1 billion size. The programs that we're running there gives everyone the entrepreneurial skills to be able to then work in agile teams, to be able to actually spot their own passions, purpose, and talents and have their own personalized path. Similarly, on the investor side, tracks on property, tracks on market trading, tracks on cryptocurrency trading, and then all the partnership opportunities for faculty to come join us as well. So this gives you the entire pathway together with the additional links that takes you directly to the different campuses as you're going through this as well. So this is brand new, right? We just started launching this today. So we're extremely happy about it. It's a team effort with everyone in our company becoming a part of that as well. And you'll see this upgraded every single year. And it just gives us a tiny fraction of what's on GeniusU. GeniusU has got thousands of courses on it. We have taken the highlights and put them all into that prospectus. And I highly recommend that for all our investors who really want to understand the basis of what we do. Download that prospectus and share it with those around you as well. So this is what we're now doing on the step 2 of our agenda, which is basically on the curriculum. How am I doing on time here? Actually, I'm exactly on time, which is great. We're actually going to the third part now, which is on the whole AI plan and the Metaversity. So I'm going to share with you a couple of things that we are extremely excited about because we don't believe that we're going to be living in a 2D world in 5 years from now, right? I think that the whole way that we're moving towards virtual worlds, the way that we're using AI, it suits perfectly for what we do, which is education. Because the one thing that everyone says about education is we should be able to get to the best mentors and best learning anywhere in the world, but we should be able to do it in a personalized way. And that's exactly what linking AR and AI allows us to do. So we have 5 elements which actually make up the full meta learning journey and meta learning vision that we have. The first one is the whole idea that we should each have an AI genie. And we've talked about personal AI being very different from what you're getting from the likes of GPT-3 today. So with GPT-3 today, if you go and have a chat with it, it'll answer all sorts of questions. But if I went there and started chatting with it, it wouldn't know my name's Roger Hamilton. It wouldn't know that I myself am an entrepreneur. It wouldn't know exactly what I'm looking to learn because it doesn't know me. Whereas when you get personalized AI, it will know all those things. And we've got one step ahead, we believe, in the fact that we're already using Salesforce, which has its own Einstein AI. So it's already linking to all the data that people are actually volunteering to us. And because everyone who comes in as a student knows, the more information they can give us about where they want to go and what they really care about, the more we can then basically give them something very personalized. And so the Genie that we have by linking GPT-3 together with the Einstein AI, I think we're one of the first in the world that's doing that. That basically is a big part of not only how our students are going to learn, it's also how our partners are going to actually be able to come on board and use exactly those tools for their own global classroom as well. Secondly, we've got the entire interactive AI layer. That's what we call the Metaversity. And that's where you have the opportunity of actually going into a virtual world when we're running our summits, being able to connect with others, have your avatar, and be able to then have those conversations with different people, even though they might be on the other side of the world, that can become your mentors, your business partners, that can become your even team members as they come join you as well. The immersive learning side is what I was saying earlier, that everything we do is live in our campuses. So you'll very rarely come to something which is pre-recorded. It will always be a combination of what is recorded together with what is facilitated. And we have all of these accredited facilitators joining us who are then connecting in different parts of the world to the programs that make most sense for them. Integrated earning is the gems that we have talked about. We'll talk more about that as well. And predictive metaverse is actually getting to a point in the future where we believe that we're going to know what it is that someone wants to learn as the next step and actually guide them towards that as well. So we are very, very focused at where we will be technology-wise in 5-10 years' time is quite different from now. And we don't want to be left behind because we believe that by just being at the forefront of this, it doesn't just give us an edge against other educational establishments, it also gives an edge against other edtech companies as well. This is the personalized learning AI that we are now launching. I'm going to show you some slides of what this looks like as we roll out now the updated partner portal that we're actually designing as well. And you will see here that we basically already are doing something, a launch, which is actually happening during this week, which is a launch of an entrepreneur MBA program and an investor MBA program that we are launching simultaneously in all the countries that we're in globally with accreditation from the US government, Department of Education, which means you can get funding for it. And you can then basically take a 1-year program, which gives you a lot of the best tools for entrepreneurship. And you can even get your team to come join this as well, right? So for us, this is really a world first that you can actually be doing this in all different countries and using all the tools that you're seeing on our platform, combining into an MBA program, which gives you that certification as well. We also basically, by doing that on the investor side, are really encouraging anyone there who's running to get smarter about the markets, what's currently taking place out there, thinks about actually extending that to actually having an MBA off the back of what they're learning as well. We also have got the launch of the personalized learning coming, and the timeline of that is right here. So every quarter, we have got basically a summit that's running. In Q1, we have the Lifelong Learning Summit. It's going to happen in the first week of March. And this is where all of our educators and all of our community partners, our city leaders, our country leaders are all joining to basically look at how they're growing their education globally. In April, we have the partner conference. And by then, basically, we would have actually launched not just a new partner portal, but we'll also be launching all of the communities together with the Genie. That's actually going to be added towards that. And we have a brand new website that we're actually launching during this time as well. And then in June, we have the Impact Investor Summit. And off the back of the Impact Investor Summit, we have a brand new micro school. That's what we call a live school that we run over a week, which is actually going to be all about market manipulation, how to actually overcome what we're seeing in the market, take all the learning we've had, bring some of the top CEOs that we've been learning from, and actually be having an opportunity for all of us to be really building a movement for a level playing field for all of us as well. So whenever we can find smart ways to bring this education in to support all of us, this is a big part of what we're looking to do as well. And you can see there's other parts of our roadmap that are actually showing up on this plan as well. And this gives you a sense of what we're doing right now with the launch of the Partner Portal. So the Partner Portal is all about how do you plan, build, and grow a $1 million education company. You could be a teacher, you might be a best-selling author, you might be a YouTuber, but you say, I want to have my programs also part of an accredited program, and I want to know exactly what are the steps I need to put in place to put a proper student pathway in place as a freemium model, where all of the building blocks already are there. So effectively, it allows you to do exactly what Amazon allows retailers to do, where they give you all the tools to have a global retail store. So we're giving all the tools to an educator to have a global classroom, but to have one that at the same time can be linked into our curriculum. So the process by which we do that, we have training modules that we're launching. They're called GAP, which is fundamentally like the Genius Accelerator program. The next one launches at the beginning of March. So there's going to be quite a number of people that have just come on recently that are running certain countries. There are translation partners or there are faculty partners who are going to be going through that program. And then we're going to see all of the new courses that they're running then show up on our system as well. And then all the students can then find the ones that are right for them. We also have got dashboards that are being built, which effectively gives you an insight into every aspect of how not only is your business or your school performing, but how does it compare to other schools as well? So when I give you the metrics, of like under $1 per student that's joining, and then $10 per student that's paying, it actually obviously changes for each educator. But by us actually taking benchmarks and saying, hey, you're ahead or behind the industry average for your particular content, it allows everyone to be improving from each other. And we're building libraries. So everything from the advertisements that you're sending out to the landing pages through to the actual courses you're running, you can actually then copy and paste libraries of other things that are working well and where we're actually all sharing with each other, which is a really important part of what our educators do. They collaborate and they share best practice. So as a result, you're in a place where you're going to be learning not just at your pace, but learning at the pace of the best that's out there. And I think that's one of the most exciting things about what we're doing is it enables us to be very much grassroots driven. Who's going to be teaching the best classes 5 years from now? I don't know, but I know that Genius U will know because it's actually tracking which are the ones that are getting recommended, which are the ones that actually should be lifted to the top. And it gives everyone a fair chance of being able to actually be the next educator that everyone's following. So this really is a really, really important part of where we're going, very similar to how this is being right now streamed on YouTube. But I know that no one can watch something on YouTube and get an accreditation. Whereas by being the same on our Genius U platform and being able to get accredited, that really makes all the difference. We also have a new homepage that's coming. So this is where basically you're going to be able to find easier navigations, easier ways for Genie to guide you through as well. And this is all coming within the next quarter. So while I am very active on Twitter, I'm very active on YouTube, sharing a lot of what's on my mind right now. I do hope that you see that our 500 staff behind the scenes and our 12,000 partners are extremely busy at growing the education revolution that we're all part of right now as well. So that kind of leads me on to now a couple of things which I'm sure many of you might have questions on, which are some of the things that have happened since we launched our legal trading task force less than a month ago. It was really very recently that we actually did this. And there's been a number of actions that we've now taken. We've moved, I believe, at pace. The team has been very focused at the actions that need to be taken. And we've learned a lot along the way as well, because we've been given a lot of advice from all the people we've spoken to. Some things are possible, some things take longer. So I hope in this section, I'm going to give you a little bit of an overview on the key elements, which is our best thinking today. Like where we'll be in a month or 3 months from now, I think is going to be different as well. But here's our best thinking today. So the first thing is for everyone to know that I would love to share absolutely everything that we are learning with you, but a lot of it's part of a legal process where it's basically part of our case that we are building. And so I can't share all of it, but I will be updating as we go as well. We are at the next stage of the legal process right now, where we continue to track together with two of the best trackers. Many of you would have seen the video I did together with the CEO of Share Intel and the CEO of BuyInsNet. And the two of them have been very, very supportive, giving us regular reporting, showing us just, how much, we are seeing, challenges on a daily basis, right? With basically how our shares are being tracked and are being traded. But at the same time, we have Wes Christian and his team that we are on course with daily and actually going through the progress of the next steps towards the legal action, right? So we will be giving you updates as that happens. That's taking up a large part of our time. We then basically are putting in certain things in place, including two things that are going to be voted for at 8 o'clock Eastern time tomorrow morning at our EGM. Now, this is basically subject to a proxy vote. So most people already have given their votes in already. So this is basically for a share repurchase mandate and a share consolidation. One thing I want to say about both of these two things is obviously another word for a share repurchase mandate is a share buyback. And what a share buyback does is it obviously means that you're able to pull some of the shares that are out in the market and pull them off the market. Now, this does not help in the case of naked shorting, because if naked shorting is counterfeit shares, well, there's going to be a whole bunch of counterfeit shares no matter how much we want to buy back. But there's definitely a positive in that happening. And if that gets voted in tomorrow morning, then I believe that's a really positive sign for our board, because it gives the board that extra tool to then use when they want to. It doesn't mean it's going to happen immediately, but it means that we've got that tool that we can then use. And similarly, share consolidation, just to give some context to this, this is talking about a reverse split. When we first wanted this to be voted on, it was because we had a very low share price, right? As many of you know, at the beginning of this year. And we didn't want to be at risk of being delisted. I don't believe at this point we have that problem anymore. And so just because this gets voted for does not mean it means that the board is actually going to go and use it. It just means that we are able to use it if we wanted to, but we're never going to do anything that isn't in the best interest of our shareholders. And we're going to be updating you regularly on what we're doing when we're doing it. And I do believe that in the same way that so far, I believe that many of our shareholders have been supportive of the actions and the communication that we're having. We're going to continue on that pathway going forward as well. The application process for dual listing has started, right? So we actually have already done our application. It's in progress. It takes 3 to 4 weeks. So we're just patiently waiting for that to complete. And that then allows us to then go ahead with the time frame I'm about to show you on our $10 NFT coupons that we have as well. So these are some of the highlighted things that we are now moving forward with. What you don't see on this list, which I'm about to get to as well, is the Entrepreneur Resorts spinoff, which effectively operates like a special dividend. And I'm going to explain the difference of that compared to the coupon as we go forward as well. So the upcoming EGM, I pretty much explained this already, so I'm not going to go into more detail on it. Again, like I said, we will be letting you know straight after the EGM. We'll come out with a press release as well as to basically the results of that. Off the back of that, that's news that's going to be coming before the market opens tomorrow morning. As far as the Entrepreneur Resorts spinoff goes, we are also very active now in moving this forward. These things might sound simple, they're very complex. Entrepreneur Resorts itself is a public listed company on Merge. It's been there since, I believe, 2017, so for quite some time. I love every single one of these different locations, which I handpicked each one of them as time has gone on, because as an entrepreneur, I always believe that I do my best work when I am in paradise, right? I do my best work when I can think freely, when I'm connected to nature, and I find many other entrepreneurs do the same as well. So we bought Vision Villa Resort, and that's where I saw my kids grow up all the way since the early 2000s. And we have run so many of our different programs there. And in fact, many of the different companies that you see us now having got connected at the master's programs that we run in Entrepreneur Resorts in Bali for many years, right? So there is definitely a big place in my heart for that resort. And similarly, our beach cafe in Sanur, which is also in Bali, is a beautiful place where we're running co-working, where we're running co-learning, where we do all sorts of charity events from there as well. And these are licensed models, which means that we already have people purchasing licenses to start these in other countries as well. The third license model we have is Genius Central, which is actually a co-working space in the middle of Singapore Central Business District. It has great food, it has great drink. It basically runs all sorts of courses there. We actually ran our last Investors Summit from there as well. So it's a really exciting concept, which is very different from the co-working that many of us are used to, where you get free beer and then you basically pay for the space. This is the opposite. It's like, you can actually have the space for free, but it's it's better food, it's better drink than you'll find at Starbucks. Right? The whole idea of it is actually an evening hangout place as well, where you actually have cocktail parties. And we have a really powerful license model on that, which also is being extended to different parts in the world. There's already licensees in places like Tokyo and places like Athens that have already taken this up. And we've got a lot of very exciting growth prospects for Entrepreneur Resorts. We also have our Safari Game Lodge in South Africa, and also a members lodge called Matla in South Africa as well, where again, we run different programs. In fact, our last physical impact investor retreats were all held in our Safari Lodge, where we all got to meet up, learn all sorts of new things around investing from top experts, and then enjoy ourselves at the same time as well. The one thing about Entrepreneur Resorts is that it is a different business model from the EdTech model that most of the rest of the company is scaling with. So frankly, even without the illegal trading task force being involved in this, it did actually make sense. And we're already having conversations about whether or not it should be a separate company that got spun off. Now, because by spinning it off, it also requires a special dividend and a share count for everyone to get equal percentage of shares in Entrepreneur Resorts. This then means effectively it forces a record count, which is one of the main mechanisms by which it's possible for us to make sure that we're clearing out market manipulation that's happening. And that's why we're actually now putting this under our legal trading task force. So where are we at with this right now? Well, the first thing is that in Singapore, because we are a Singapore company, there is a structure to go through for a corporate restructure and a capital reduction, which is what this is, especially a spin-off. It will be voted to an EGM. So we are preparing right now the circular, which then will lead to the EGM. So we will be sharing more information about this, and you can expect to see that sometime later this month or beginning of March. It then goes through a process in Singapore, which basically gives a court order stamp of approval that the balance sheets on both sides, once you've actually spun it off, are both healthy. It gets approved. New York Stock Exchange then approves it as well. You then set the record date. And then once you basically have done the count, then you do the distribution of shares effectively as a special dividend. Now, this is from where we're at right now. Obviously, it all depends on how long approvals in Singapore and in New York take. But we're estimating that it's going to be happening in late Q2. So we'll be keeping you updated as we go at each one of these stages. So as we actually get the EGM approval, we'll be letting you know. Once we get court order approval, we'll let you know. So we'll be giving you updates as we go. And so it will become very clear when we're going to be ending up getting to a point where we can actually give a record date. Now, I'm going to share, like I said, the difference of this and why we're doing this as well as the NFT dividends. I'll share a little bit about that as we get to that. But this basically gives you the structure. Now, it is a total coincidence that Upstream Exchange also happens to be partnered with Merge. They actually set up that partnership after we listed, right? Because we listed way back in 2017, 2018. Merge is based in the Seychelles, which is a beautiful island, but it just so happens that the Merge Stock Exchange decided that it wanted to be quite innovative early on. And so the fact that we could get listed there as an international company, the fact that they already are working with other blockchain related companies, and then that led them to the partnership with Upstream, I just think is a pretty magical coincidence. You can see the actual structure as it is today. Entrepreneur Resorts is a listed company, so it has its shares listed at $2.75 at today's price on Merge. However, it is 97% owned by Genius Group because we did an acquisition prior to the IPO. It's also 3% owned by retail investors. So what we're going to be doing after the spinoff is having Genius Group as one side. So everyone who's got shares at the record count in Genius Group, obviously you keep those shares, but you're then also going to be issued shares in Entrepreneur Resorts, and Entrepreneur Resorts, those shares will be on the Merge Exchange. Now, one thing I will say about the Merge Exchange is it's not like the New York Stock Exchange. It doesn't have a very liquid market. So that you could argue is a detriment because it means that it's not easy to buy and sell the shares there. However, we basically are going to be walking through a plan, which we already announced in the press release, of our intention to actually take it from the Merge Exchange and to take it to an exchange outside of America, which doesn't have potentially the same type of market manipulation that we ourselves are trying to fight right now, but actually could be in another country. Now, whether that is Australia on the Australian stock market, whether that's Singapore market, or even in the UK on the London stock market, that's the assessment we're making right now as well. The timing of how long after the actual spinoff happens before we then do a listing, we'll be able to give more information on that closer to the time of the spinoff as well as we're going through the research side. But as you can expect, all these different elements do take time. But we do believe that afterwards, investors will find that both companies can grow far more effectively, both because of the fact that they each have got their own strategies going forward, but also because the management team on the Entrepreneur Resorts side can be specialists in hospitality and be able to grow the licenses, while the management team of Genius Group will be very focused on the edtech side and being able to grow that. And of course, the two of them will continue to partner together as well, so that Genius Group programs can be run in all of the Entrepreneur Resort locations. And that, I think, is one of the most exciting things for all of us. That's what we mean when we say it's high tech and high touch, that we should be able to have campuses all over the world. And if you want to get your MBA program in Bali, you could do that, right? So that basically is where we see ourselves heading with Entrepreneur Resorts right now. And that takes us now to the Upstream dual listing. So I'm hoping that everything I'm going to share in the next couple of slides, I can do in maybe about 10 minutes. And that gives us time to open up for all the questions as well, right? So on the Upstream dual listing, like I mentioned, it's now in process. So we are now basically just waiting for the merge approval. The fact that Genius Group already has got a company on Merge does make life easier. We already have a sponsor on Merge. We already know the team there very well as well. So we do believe that we're going to be getting that approval, within the time frame of the steps for the NFT digital coupon. This then leads to the actual $10 per share NFT. So as it says here, shareholders that hold Genius shares on the 28th of February, which is the record date, will be eligible to receive an NFT coupon equal to $10 for every share owned in Genius Group. Right? So following the dual listing and this coupon being issued, we then will allow everyone to then do the transition to the NFTs on the 15th of March. So it's a very short time period of just 2 weeks at which you can then actually already start applying for your NFT coupons. You're not going to be given one NFT for every $10. So if you have $1,000 worth of shares, you're going to get one NFT worth $1,000. If you got $100,000, you're going to get one NFT worth 100,000. So you're going to actually effectively have one NFT, which is not something you can sell, right? So we are being very careful that this isn't seen by the SEC as a security, but it is something which basically you could have as basically a commemorative NFT because you were here at this time at the 28th of February. And then basically you can then convert that in a very simple process I'm about to show you into gems, which are our Genius Educator Merits, right? That basically is our idea of student credits instead of student debt. Every day that a student in a school or university that's getting government debt is getting them more and more in debt. Where in our case, you're earning credits through any of the clear steps you're taking. And in this case, you're earning credits just by being one of our investors. And so how does it work, right? Basically, it works in, first of all, us having this pre-count period from now through to February 27th, when everyone knows the count date is coming on February 28th. Anyone who doesn't want to have NFTs, obviously no interest in being in the count on February 28th. Any fake shares out there, like obviously no interest in being there on February 28th. However, anyone who actually wants to have any of those coupons, then obviously, February 28th becomes an important date, because if you own something on February 27th, but then you sell it before February 28th, doesn't count. If you buy on March 1st, doesn't count, right? So it's just going to be on February 28th. We then have the count date. Now, why we pick that date? Because there's a big difference between a special dividend where the process of a special dividend is basically the DTCC will go out to every broker and say, well, look, you need to tell us exactly who are the shareholders and what is the shareholdings under your brokerage, because we need to issue to each of them something very specific. So for example, in the case of a spinoff of Entrepreneur Resorts, is you're actually giving each of them something very specific, which is shares in Entrepreneur Resorts. For that, we need their actual real name, details. We need a way to be able to distribute that to them. In the case of a coupon does not count the same way, so they're not forced to have to give us all of that. However, they are at risk that if there are a lot of investors that are coming to claim their coupons, and it happens that a brokerage is actually ending up with a lot more people claiming coupons than they should be, right? Then there is then the liability that then can actually form for that brokerage. And that liability is $10 per share, right? So if they've got 1 million shares they shouldn't have or over-counted, then that does mean there's a $10 million liability. So this is brand new. There really, I don't think has been anyone else has gone through this mechanism that we have seen, but we believe that this is something which is going to really help us moving forward. And regardless of what happens on the 28th, the fact that all of our investors will have this benefit themselves as well. So hopefully it will attract more bona fide investors to us. I think this is a really, really big part of what we're doing. And this is going to be a case study for additional NFT coupons we can do in the future. Because of course, once we've got the mechanism set up, we can do this as frequently or infrequently as it makes sense to do. So we basically will then have a registration period, which you'll see here isn't starting and stopping on March 15th. As long as you've got shares on February 28th, you've got a 3-month period from March 15th through to June 15th in which you can go to basically get your NFT. And then you've got actually a 6-month period from March 15th through to September 15th in which you can redeem and spend those gems that you have as well, right? At September 15th, any gems that are not spent, they all will just expire. And any NFTs that are not redeemed by June 15th also will just expire. So we're not carrying forward a liability. And frankly, we're not expecting everyone to be actually using theirs either, but we hope everyone who wants to use theirs will make good use of it, right? And so what is it you can do with these coupons? Well, first of all, here's the process. And by the way, this process here, you can come back to these slides after this meeting, and you're free to actually go through the application process on Upstream already today. You don't have to wait until the 28th or until the 15th. We are not yet approved on there, so you're not going to see our name on there, so don't go looking for our name. But once we're approved, you'll find us straight away. But I recommend that if you're interested, it's worth already downloading the Upstream app, either on the App Store or Google Play, clicking on the gear icon, as it says here, to open up the sign up. Basically going through the sign up process, which gives you a very simple KYC process you're following. You can see here, you're just copying the signing key, securing safe place, clicking the start, clicking on the gear icon for home, and then going through the KYC process. And then you can go and explore all the different things that are actually already are on Upstream, which includes NFTs, includes a number of companies now on there as well. And then what you see here is if you click on the NFT area for redemption, you're obviously not going to see us there at all, but on the 15th of the month, you will see us, 15th of March. And when you see us on the 15th of the month and you actually click on it, of course, Upstream will have all the data from all the brokers, because they all report on the last day of every month, to actually verify who you are and how many shares you have. So we'll actually give you the link where you actually can click. We're going to give you the instructions on it as well. We are holding our next investor meeting on the 15th. So we're actually going to show you a live demo of this when we actually do this. So you don't have to take any action on now if you don't want to. But if you actually click on it and go through it, you will then see, like this is how many shares you have. Now you can click, now you can redeem. This is for everyone who's on a no-go list, which means that the broker already has your details. You have no objection to giving your details. Anyone who's on the OBO list, which means that you're part of a fund where they're not giving details, will tell you the process at this time as to how you then basically can give us proof that you actually have shares at that time as well. But this will allow us to basically be able to see exactly who there are coming through. And we highly recommend, even if you're not sure if you're going to use this, go through this process anyway, because the more investors that are real investors that are basically saying, look, I'm real and these are real shares, then the better for this process for us as well. The final thing I'll say is that, of course, once you've actually got on the 15th your different gems, what can you use those gems for? So we have basically got a select number of the most popular programs that we're running that we're giving you right now to have a look at. So you already can be anticipating before the 15th what you might be a part of. Now, your gems cannot be transferred to someone else, right? But they can be used for yourself and your family. And so this allows you basically already to decide, if you've got kids, right? If you've got teenagers, do you want them to be going through some of these as well? So we do have a number of different programs. You'll see it always starts from a level 1 program, which tends to be very low cost, all the way through to the highest level programs, which you can see here are actually the Genius School educators. We are running a virtual summer camp, a Young Entrepreneur Academy, where there's $50,000 in prizes for the best startup decks. We have the most incredible ideas that come out of this. It's very inspiring. So there's basically a number of different programs you can see here. We have the same on the university campus side. So this also starts with assessments and goes through to professional certifications. It goes through to our digital entrepreneur MBA, and then what we'll be launching also, which is our investor MBA. And then we also have a digital master's of education, and then bachelor's degrees, which are full 3-year programs that you can also be running through as well. So again, for many of the students that are out there, this becomes a very, very valuable thing, because it's not just the discounts you're getting, it's the fact that this can also be covered by government aid and government loans as well. So that basically makes it a very, very affordable option for any university students. Entrepreneur Campus takes us all the way through the full pathway up to Digital Entrepreneur MBA, but it also includes mentoring in many different parts of the world, our master's programs, which are either physical or virtual, and our Genius Entrepreneur Metaversity. So I'm not going to go through all the details on the products here. I just want to highlight that these are all available at this point. And for any of you that are already interested in really just exploring more about our company and how this could be of value to you beyond just being an investor, but being one of our students, one of our partners, I highly encourage doing it, not even waiting till the 28th. You can already do that earlier as well. So one thing I'll say about each of these, and you see here the investor campus also, we've got these steps here too. You'll find all of this and the information on these also in the prospectus that I mentioned earlier. But basically off the back of this, we are also going to be adding some other discounts, which we will be publishing by the time we get to the 15th of March, which does include our Global Summit series. So it may be that you're going to be joining one of our summits during the year. Our master's programs that happen at our resorts, and even just showing up at the resorts, whether it's for a corporate retreat or coming with your family, you're going to be able to use gems for discount programs that we're actually running there as well. And I mentioned earlier this whole idea of an impact investor micro school, where off the back of our summit in May, we're actually going to be having a program of what is impact investing, what is ethical investing, right? How do we protect ourselves and do the right thing in the marketplace? What are the steps you can do to protect your own investment? So for example, we already have done videos showing that if you are an investor, let's say, for example, in Genius Group, and you don't want your shares to be loaned out for shorting, well, you can basically, get paper certificates. You can DRS your shares. You can take them off a margin account and put them into a cash account. There's very specific things that you can be doing. How do you do those things? What are the different steps? And then also, what are the ways to really be able to start analyzing the companies that you're actually investing in more as well? We're going to be going through that in a micro school, and you're going to be use your gems to just come and join that as well, right? So we're really trying to make as much value here as possible. And we're going to have additional monthly discounts as well. So if nothing here suits you, by April, by May, we'll be adding additional programs in based on feedback from our investors as well. So that really is a big part of the fact that until the IPO, pretty much all of our students and our partners were the people that became our investors. But we've also seen the opposite happen, where people who are investors become our students and our partners. We believe that everyone should have a stakeholding in the future of education. So this is some steps you can take right now. Option one, if you're interested in any of the programs that you saw, especially if it's the level 4s, level 5s, where you say, look, I'm interested in that idea of an MBA, or I'm interested in the idea of being a certified trainer, then you can get ahead and basically just book a call with one of our team now. You don't have to wait until later. And if you were to book a call now to find out more about what's happening and what it might be, we have something which is called a navigation call. It's where we find out what size business you have, what's your interests, what are your main passions, and then from there saying, well, we think this is probably the best path for you. And we're quite happy to honor particular steps forward in anticipation of the fact by the 28th, you believe that you're going to have a certain number of shares, and so you're going to have a certain discount. We're fine with that, right? To actually say, well, then on that basis, we can already get started on something. And then when we actually can verify the total amount, then we basically book up the difference and we use the gems. So this is a way to just get started already. If you'd like to, you can either click on a link. I'm sure Suraj will drop the link in the chat as well. And for anyone listening to this recording, all of this, including the chat, will be in the recording of this YouTube live stream afterwards. There's a QR code here as well. You can even just take a shot of this QR code now, and it will take you straight through to book a call. And there'll be a booking call just for the next couple of weeks. The second thing is that we actually have something we run, which is called partner roundtables and investor roundtables, which isn't so much one-to-one. It's really a small group of maybe 6 to 8 people, where you get to meet other entrepreneurs or investors as well. And if you go, I'm interested in actually meeting some of the senior leadership team at one of those. I'm often running some of those founders roundtables. We also have others in our team running those as well. Then you can also basically click on a link and just come to one of those instead. And that means you don't have to be, putting so much time into a one-to-one. Or you just wait, right? Option 3 is just wait until the count on 28th, wait for our updates as they come in March. And that way you're going to be taken care of anyway. It'll just be a little further down the line. And that kind of takes me to the final part, which is everything I shared so far was really what you can do as one of our students. Everything we do and everything we've been able to do to grow has come from our partners. We have level 1, level 2, level 3 partnerships. And what we are doing is working at different levels based on what size education business someone wants to have. And these education partners are the ones that actually become the faculty and use all of our partner portal to build their business. But also we have our community that are in all different countries. So we have got amazing communities in Japan or in China, in Australia, in all different countries in Europe, in Africa, in South America, and now also starting all over America as well, where that becomes a local campus in that city or in that country, where we have the translations taking place and where we can bring all of the different programs that make most sense into those countries as well. And our system allows a community partner to earn a percentage for looking after the community, allows the educator to earn a fee for actually doing the education. And we can actually go through all that detail, even when you book a call with us. And you can become part of this a company that we're growing as well. Everything we do is through partnerships. And I really hope that just from what I've shared so far, everyone's got a better idea on what we do within Genius Group and the way that we do it as well. We really are just at the beginning of our journey. Yes, we have over 4 million students, but we have got lofty goals that take us to 100 million students and beyond, and how we get to those numbers, what we look like when we get to that size. One of the people I was really inspired by was Salman Khan from Khan Academy. And he managed to get from 0 to 100 million students just within his maths classes on Khan Academy within less than 10 years. And we believe that we've got something which is equally valuable for the world. And for us to be able to get out there and follow in the footsteps of amazing people like Salman Khan, who was one of our summit speakers, this is a big part of our transition as well. So this really takes us to the section where I'm now going to be able to open us up for Q&A. So what I'll do is, first of all, just come over to Flora, and I'm actually just looking through the chat as we go as well. Wow, there's a lot of chat going. Oh, I see we've got a good number of people watching us as well. So welcome to everyone who's here. So Flora, before I go into some of the Q&A of what you sent me earlier, do you want to give me a sense of just like roughly how many questions you've been able to pick up that you think would be worth us trying to answer right now?
I think we'll have about 20 questions or so.
Wow. Okay. All right. Well, that obviously means we're not going to finish at 1:15, but that's okay. I'm more than happy to make this a longer session, and we'll get through as many of those questions as possible. So Flora, I'm going to actually start with the questions that you sent me earlier. So these are people that gave in questions before we even started this session here. The list of questions I have here as well. So let me just grab it, and I'm going to run through them. So first couple of questions were related to the NFTs, right? The first question was, what prevents brokers from merely filling in with an obligation placeholder and ignoring the coupon claim? Yeah, so this is exactly what I was saying, that if a broker basically isn't being honest about, like how many shares they have, we can still expose that, or at least, hold them to liability off the back of all the investors saying, hey, I'm actually presenting the fact that I have these shares. And if we see there's over allotment, that's going to become very obvious, right? So it's not as foolproof as the special dividend is, but the reason that we wanted to do both is we can get the coupon done within a month, whereas the special dividend, especially if it's done in the case of a spin-off, does take, as you've seen, 3 to 5 months. And if we wanted to do an NFT dividend, frankly, it takes even longer, because basically there's a lot more hoops we need to jump through in today's regulatory environment for us to even get an NFT coupon out there today, which is why you haven't seen any companies recently being able to actually pull that one off. Doesn't mean it won't happen, right? But at the moment, it's actually easier to do something like a spin-off, and it's even easier to do something like a coupon. So we are not using one bullet, we're using a whole machine gun. And the whole goal is that we just continue to do things which are of value to our shareholders, but also inconvenient for those who actually are really more interested in market manipulation. Second question, as we are collectively learning to fight the shorts, what action can North American shareholders take prior to the NFT coupon dividend to pressure our brokers to deliver our dividends fairly, and so we'll avoid situations in question one? I wouldn't worry too much about getting them to deliver fairly, because we're going to be giving you the chance to tell us directly by logging into Upstream and saying, right, here's how many of the coupons I have. That's for the coupons, right? With the dividends, you don't have to worry about it, because they have to report basically on the dividends when we actually do the spin-off. And by the way, like this has all happened, remember, all within a period of just 2 weeks of the actual illegal trading task force being put together. This is not the end of our actions, right? This is basically just the first actions we're putting in place, and we do not see this as something that gets solved within a couple of months or even within a year. We see this as an ongoing a set of preventative measures that we will continue to do for many, many years to come. So there'll be more things that will be coming as we go, but obviously, I'm not in a position right now to share what those things might be. Number 3, in the possible event the dividend doesn't force naked shorts to close and the shareholders are unable to access the coupons, what actions will the company take to protect shareholders and hold brokers accountable? Right. So obviously, when we actually see, is there overcounting, we're going to be able to report that and share what's happening there. We're going to go through all the same processes that we're going through right now with our, existing data that we're actually collecting right now as well. And we'll be, working with anyone where there is overcounting that's been taking place as well, and advising on the next best course of action as we go too, right? So I think it's going to be a very interesting month ahead. Will data regarding the share count be shared openly following the closure of the dividend period? Again, we're talking specifically more about the spin-off at this point. In any case like this, right, if we're actually at a point where we have actually filed, any kind of legal complaint, then of course that gets filed publicly, right? So you will know when we actually are at that stage. What steps will be taken during the EGM to ensure current retail shareholders fairly vote? So I think you already know, we've already gone through that same process, and we've seen a very high percentage actually get participating and vote, which is a very good thing. We'll know the actual full details in tomorrow's session, but I think that's actually been very fair the way that's worked already. And I think, the right shareholders have stepped up to be voting on that too. There was a question here, strategy on GeniusU, but I do believe that we've already gone through a bit on that strategy and also on the Metaversity. I've shared more on the Metaversity too. There'll be more updates as we go on the launch because we now have the time frame of those launches that you'll see in those slides. And then as we get closer, we'll be sharing that too. We do have a philosophy of making sure that there's more news every week. You would have seen that we've been doing that every week as well. And so do keep looking out for our press releases and the things that we're actually sharing going forward as well. And Flora, those were the ones I had earlier. Do you want to be just going through each of the questions one by one with me, and then I will answer?
Okay. Hi, everyone. So let me just cover off a couple of things because there's been a bit of confusion and things. So just to clarify things, this NFT coupon is the dividend. So for the ones that have asked whether there would be like a separate dividend, they wouldn't be because the NFT is the dividend. For the ones that do not want to have the NFT or the coupon, you're gonna have to, it's up to you whether you want to redeem it or not. So if you don't want to claim it, you don't have to. Then questions about the reverse split and when it takes effect. So again, the EGM is tomorrow. So if it is approved, and only if it's approved, it will be at the discretion of the company on whether the reverse share split happens. And also we will only take action if it's in the best interest of shareholders. So I'm going through the list of questions. There's a very big list. It is the exact same about the share buyback. So the company is going to have, if approved, again, tomorrow at the EGM, it will be at the company's discretion on when this share buyback will happen. In terms of whether the shareholders will be compensated for the share buyback. So shareholders don't get directly compensated because we don't come up to you and ask to buy back your shares. We buy back the shares in the open market. So you're indirectly sort of compensated as it could be effect on the share price. When we do the results of the EGM the results, so if you have registered for our EGM meeting, you will know the results live. And if you can't make the meeting, we will be releasing, a press release and our 6K filing with the results in there. So if you sign up to our investor relations news, you will be receiving the news directly to your email. There has been a lot of questions about the proxy. So for everyone's benefit, so the voting for the EGM, the record date was the 10th of January. That means that if you were not a shareholder at that time, then you would have not received a proxy. So every single shareholder that was a shareholder on the 10th of January would have received a proxy either from their brokers or directly from a transfer agent. And only those shareholders can vote. All the ones that were shareholders past the 10th would have not received a proxy and unfortunately cannot vote.
And if I can just add one thing onto that, if anyone asks, well, why 10th of January? I mean, the way that it works with Singapore law is that you need to give 21 days notice. And also at the same time, the actual process, for VStock to go out, go to everyone to get their addresses to mail out on an EGM is usually like a week to 10 days. So when you add all that together, that's a full month that you need to get to even get to a date like today. And the same will be when we actually do an EGM for the vote on the Entrepreneur Resorts spinoff. It'll be a good, month notice we need to give. So obviously any of you who are shareholders during that time, you'd see that and you see the notice go out, and then it'll be a good, month before we actually can run the EGM.
And for the ones that have received the proxy, how do you vote? There should be all of the instructions on the proxy. And if you still have any doubts, you can email me at investor@geniusgroup.net, or you can email our transfer agent, VStock. Will the share count made public? So our latest share count was made public in our 6K filing on the 25th of January. So I advise you to go and look at that filing on our investor relations website. What's our plan to combat the shorts? So for this, I think if you can look back at the slides of today, I will be putting the slides up on the investor relations website. So just look back at the slides and you're going to have all the information there. In terms of, someone asked, when is the share count scheduled? So that was at the start of the call. There's not much information about in this question, but I would assume someone was mentioning the share count for the coupon. The share count is the 28th of February. So as Roger explained before, if you are a shareholder on the 28th of February, you will be eligible for the coupon. If you sold before, you will not be. And if you bought, for example, on the 1st of March, you won't be either. What's happening to the public launch of GEM crypto tokens? So this is, an update. We have not released an update on this. And as soon as there will be an update, we will be sending a PR and a 6K. So again, please subscribe to our news and you'll be receiving the news in due time. Do you have a course on how to short sell or courses on how to pump stocks? On this, on our GeniusU platform, we have a big range of different financial courses. So I encourage you to look through our prospectus that we're going to have available on our website, or reach out to one of our customer service team and they can give you more information about what courses we have. Someone said that they were a former active duty US Marine and would love to become a student. Would you accept my GI Bill? So, a lot of our classes are free. So what I suggest is you first, sign up to GeniusU, start our classes, and, of course, you can be a student. Are the GEMs going to be redeemable on the MBA classes? Yes, on certain ones. So again, please look through the prospectus. In the prospectus, there's direct links to each of the courses, so you can know which MBAs you can be eligible for. Can the GEMs be used in ERL resorts? Yes, they can. Similarly, please look at the prospectus and you're going to have all the information there. Other question, how can I get more information about the cafe licenses for your country? Best is to reach out to our Entrepreneur Resorts team. So if you go on the Entrepreneur Resorts website, please contact our customer service there, and they will put you through straight to the right person that can help you.
Yeah, I'd say on that one, Flora, also what we said earlier in terms of booking either a one-to-one call in the next couple of weeks, or even joining one of the roundtables, go ahead and do that, because the whole team, knows all the different steps and how to do that, and that way you can straight away get to the right people to actually be able to move that forward. And I think that's going to be a very exciting thing, because the lifelong learning summit we're going to run on the 2nd and 3rd of March, we're going to have a lot of our licensees who are going to be on that as well, right? So the perfect timing to get involved if you want to get involved.
And then last question was, will bad student debt be an issue for the investor? This is, I'm not sure if the question is about, using the GEMs and taking classes or not. If it is, then it's not an issue, because, some of the classes are free. Our mission really is very inclusive. Anyone can join our classes. So no, it wouldn't be.
I think that might also be referring to the fact that there's definitely been a lot of universities, if they've got a bad default rate on student debt, then that also has been something sometimes, right? And which actually isn't so much about the default rate in student debt, because that's back on the government, right? The government's the one that's actually given the debt, and the debt's back to the government, not back to the university. So there is no liability to the university, but it's more if there is too much of a dropout rate, right? Then that is a liability, because then the Department of Education, everyone looks badly on a university that's not doing a good job there. We've historically had a very, very good pass rate, and we've also now, with the programs that we're running, seeing a very high number of a high retention, and also a high kind of pass percentage, on the basis that people are only taking courses when they know it's the right course for them through the freemium model that we have.
I know I've missed out a lot of questions. I think there's been a lot more questions going through. Please, you can email me directly at investor@geniusgroup.net, and I'll get back to you either within 24 hours or 48 hours. If you have more questions that you want Roger to answer live as well, we're going to have an investor meeting for the month of March. So if you want, you can start sending me questions for that as well. And yeah, here to answer any queries that you might have.
That's great. Thanks very much, Flora. Thanks, Flora. Thanks. We have Suraj behind the team that's been managing all of this as well. We've got the rest of our team. Many of them are actually on this call too. We do know that what we're doing right now, which is running investor calls monthly as YouTube live streams, is in itself quite unusual. If you think this is a good idea, you'd like to see more of this kind of communication, then please give an affirmative in the comments. And at the same time, I think everyone can see that there is a really strong community behind Genius Group as well. And I think that also is a really powerful thing. So thank you everyone for all your support. Really looking forward to the month ahead and seeing everyone again on the next investor meeting on the 15th of March, which is going to be our NFT day. So thank you very much again, everyone. We will now end this investor meet and we will be catching up with you again very soon. Goodbye.